Fran, have you seen the new Alien Isolation 2 teaser?
No. Why would you think that?
Oh, I don't know. I just kind of thought, what? That I liked Alien or something? We'll give you that idea. You know what? Just forget that I asked. I guess. Yeesh. People unassuming, huh? Hello everyone, today is going to be a little bit of a different video today with us talking about the recently revealed Alien Isolation 2 teaser. At least with the time of recording, it is currently Alien Day, or 426, which is a reference to the planet in which the xenomorphs were found in the original Alien film and also where the events of Aliens takes place. Usually Alien Day is a fun time where there's an action figure line announced or a comic book that's about to be released, but this year we got some amazing news that Alien Isolation 2 is in fact coming soon. So with that, I want to get into what I think of it and what I want out of one of the most anticipated sequels to ever release in gaming. First, I wanted to clear up a minor misconception that may lead to more excitement towards this sequel. This teaser is actually not the announcement for the game. The game has actually been in development for almost 2 years because Creative Assembly actually announced that this game was entering production for the 10-year anniversary of Alien Isolation's release, that being in 2014. So 2024, they officially started production on this game. This is not for me to be here saying like, oh, actually, it's supposed to be a happy note because that means that the game's been in production for far longer than you may think. Overall, the teaser is relatively simple but does its job extremely well. We open on the site of a classic Alien Isolation door, first in the locked position, and then it eventually switches to the unlocked position. When the doors pull back, you see the big reveal that for Alien Isolation 2, at least to some capacity, we're going to be spending some time on one of the colonies that are made by Weyland-Yutani. Well, that's not technically confirmed it's Weyland-Yutani, but we're going to be spending time on a space colony. This is a big departure because most of Alien Isolation took place on either the Sevastopol station or the Anisadora, which was a far smaller ship, but regardless, you were in space the entire time. Now we're going to be on a colony, which is a pretty big shakeup. Then the teaser closes in on the famous telephone save point and then ends. I think this is an excellent direction for the series to go because Alien Isolation was a perfect representation of the original Alien film. The tight claustrophobic horror, the looming threat of the alien and its hyper-intelligence, the retro 70s futuristic designs, all of it was there and emblematic of the original 1979 film. Outside of that original film, there's really no better way to get the vibe and atmosphere of Alien than Alien Isolation. So I think it's a natural step for Alien Isolation 2 to at least somewhat venture into the world of Aliens, the 1986 James Cameron classic. Alien Isolation did feature multiple xenomorphs and a queen, but the queen is only featured in this audio scream that happens after you purge the hive, and the multiple xenomorphs don't even appear until that hive section anyways. Ultimately, I think it's a great idea to lean more into the expanded mythology of the Alien franchise and focus on the threat of the whole hive, not just a single xenomorph hunting you down the whole time. You go from not only being overwhelmed, but now to being as well outnumbered, which is extra terrifying. And I think this is a good segue into what I want out of the gameplay from Alien Isolation 2. It's honestly hard to improve on the formula that Alien Isolation had with the tense atmosphere, super adaptive and intelligent antagonists, and a tight crafting system that gives you the much needed edge in a very, very bleak situation. However, what I really want to return for Alien Isolation 2 is that feeling of empowerment, which may sound antithetical to something like Alien Isolation, but it's not. So let me explain. The best survival horror games, while they do emphasize on that feeling of weakness and hopelessness against a horrifying threat, there are also moments of comfort and or empowerment to break up the gameplay flow and cause that much needed release of the tension that's been built so far. Take one of the best horror games ever made, Resident Evil 7. Running around the Baker estate at the beginning of the game as Ethan feels hopeless as Mia and Jack Baker hunt you down, throw you around, and your only option at the beginning of that game is to run. It is to flee. However, by the middle of the game, you're battling Jack Baker with a chainsaw and running down hallways with a shotgun, blowing molded zombies away like they're nothing. The game then returns to a state of helplessness when you get to the ship part because they take away all your weapons, but then it empowers you later again. It's a tried and true formula that keeps survival horror games from becoming monotonous and feeling like all the surviving that you're doing is just pointless since there's never really a clear reward for why you're doing it. This actually isn't new to Alien Isolation because it actually does it pretty well upon introduction of the flamethrower in the first game. You immediately feel safer as you can barrel through more areas and use the flamethrower to repel the xenomorph whenever sneaking fails. However, Alien Isolation handles this surge of power with the hyper-intelligent AI, which grows a resistance to the flamethrower over time, forcing you to go back to the drawing board. It's one of the things that makes Alien Isolation one of, if not the best survival horror games of our time, because they understood that being helpless for the whole game would ultimately just end up feeling pointless and frustrating instead of fun. My point being here with Alien Isolation 2 is that they're taking more inspiration from Aliens. This opens up a lot of opportunities to do this in cool and new ways. Imagine the Hive moving more intelligently with the same advanced AI of the original in reaction to many classic Aliens tools that you see in use during that movie. Put up a remote turret in a hallway to try and thin out the Hive? They test it out, just like in the movie, then move to the rafters when they figure out that that's not working. Start blasting away with a pulse rifle? Maybe the aliens realize that they're getting shredded to pieces, so they start trying to dodge more agilely to try and waste your ammo, and then when your ammo is low, they all converge. There's honestly endless possibilities to give you that feeling that even with good weaponry, it's still not enough, which puts you in the same situation that Ripley, Newt, Hicks, Hudson, and the whole crew were in the second film. Could give you that sense of power and agency, but still use that same adaptability we've all come to love from the original, to make the Hive feel cunning and establish that struggle a survival horror game should have. Speaking of that, I did want to briefly touch on the story with this game because I feel it could really be anything, but there are some cool theories out there already. Firstly, I would like to see Amanda Ripley return to the series as she's been left on quite a bit of a cliffhanger at the end of the original game. Where it gets messy is, are they going to pull the same story beat as her mother and have her cryogenically frozen and pulled out later, or are we picking up right at the end of Alien Isolation in that era? Honestly, I kind of don't have a preference here. The idea of Amanda traversing what colonies looked like before when they were more primitive than the one we see in Aliens sounds cool and would definitely give the same kind of inefficient vibes that the Sevastopol station did. On the flip side, if Amanda is found frozen and finds herself in the Aliens era colony in the future, that would also be super awesome because it rhymes with the journey that her mother Ripley took in the original films and further strengthens the story of her tracking down her mother. Now, that being said, that will probably require some retconning since Alien Special Edition confirms that Amanda lived a full long life and then passed away. But I don't think it's really outside the realm of possibility for Weyland-Yutani, the evil company, to lie to Ellen Ripley if they already had ulterior motives for her planned. Either way, I hope we don't ditch Amanda Ripley and end up with a new protagonist. I'm not shutting down that idea entirely, but I want some closure to her story, and I think that would be the most fulfilling way to go. Overall, I think the teaser does exactly what a teaser should do. Shows off something that we're familiar with, but something dramatically new to sink our teeth into and theorize about while they finish the game. If I had to give it a rating, I would give it an easy 10 out of 10. No notes, and I am extremely excited to see how the cold survival horror of Alien Isolation integrates with its newer Aliens influences. But what did you think of Alien Isolation 2's teaser? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you for liking and subscribing today. I very much appreciate it, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. But if I don't see you there, I'll see you when I see you. Goodbye.